Hello, hello, and welcome back to the Burnt Pancakes podcast. I am your host, Katie Fensky, and like always, I'm here to remind you that everyone burns their first pancake. On today's momversation, I am sitting down with Emily Bolt. She is an actress in film, TV, and commercials, and she's also the host of her own podcast, Mommywood. She is the mom to 1-year-old May, and she is going to talk to us all about what it's like being in the industry and how becoming a mom has changed things and what it was like navigating being an actress as a mom. This is such a great conversation. I had so much fun chatting with her, and I think you're going to love this momversation. Emily, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks for having me. I'm so excited.
I'm so excited. We've had this book for about a month, and I've been so excited to talk to you because this is an area I have no idea. I don't know anything about acting, so I'm so excited to hear about this. Why don't you start off telling me just how you got started in the business?
Um, well, I kind of just grew up in the arts. My mom was my high school drama teacher. My
Oh,
sisters did it. My parents actually met doing a musical in college.
oh my God, that's so cute.
So, yeah, so I've been surrounded by it, but growing up in the Midwest, I'm from St. Louis originally, so it never really, it seemed like a hobby. I didn't have any people to look up to be like, oh, it's an actual job until my sister pursued it. She was on Broadway, and I was like, oh, okay. And she's 6 years older. And I just never really wanted to do anything else. I just never
Oh.
really thought about it. I don't know if it's more delusional, but uh,
Well,
but
I
it's
love that. I love that you've just always known that that's like your passion.
yeah. Yeah, and I'm so lucky that my parents were always so supportive. Like I was talking recently that I was like, they were never like, this is gonna be hard, or like, what are
Hmm.
you gonna do for actual money? Like,
Yes.
so
Oh, I do love that.
yeah, and most people don't get that. So that was really nice. And then I got my BFA in acting from Missouri State University. And after I graduated, I went on tour with a children's theater for like a year. And then I moved to New York because it was either there or Los Angeles.
Yeah.
And my sister was in New York. So I was there for only about a year and a half. And I ended up um, swapping apartments with a friend who lived in LA. And for like a month. So he took my apartment in New York and I took his in Los Angeles. And then we both essentially ended up staying in the other
Oh, no
cities. So
way.
I was like,
Well,
I
that worked
ended,
out well.
yeah, yeah, I really did. There was about 10 months in between where I moved home to save up to move out here.
Yeah, LA is
So
not cheap. LA is not cheap.
no, no, ma'am. I think the only place more expensive might be New
New
York.
York.
I think it all balances out, I guess. But yeah, so I've been out here now for, oh gosh, 11 and a half years, 12, something like that.
Wow.
Um, yeah, so it's been a while. So yeah, moving out here, I just started the hustle and I was nannying and then I started teaching and
Did you ever
uh,
waitress? They always say actors waitress.
I didn't. I was a hostess in New
Okay,
York.
okay.
I did that. And well, while I was saving money in St. Louis to move out here, I was hostessing actually at John Goodman's restaurant in St. Louis. And they were like, "Do you want to be a waitress?" And I was like, "I guess, because if I need to do it if I move to LA, nobody's gonna like
But I'll have
train me."
my experience. Yeah.
Yeah, so I was like, I guess so. I was terrible. If I had more than 2 tables, forget it.
Too
I was like,
much.
I can't take it. There was one point where I like went up to one of my tables and I was like, "Huh, it's been a while and they don't have food yet." And I was like, "Oh, I forgot to order it.
Oh, I didn't know.
That'll do."
I would think you would have been good at like memorizing orders though, because you're good at like memorizing lines. Were you the type that like wrote it down
Oh,
or okay.
yeah. Because
Same.
they
I
would be
used to
like,
work at Olive Garden and I was like, Like, oh, you want an extra pack of sugar? Okay, I'm writing that
Write
down
it
too. And I
down.
didn't have like the what is it called? Like the shorthand. It would be like extra pack of sugar.
Yeah. Yeah, especially because I only did it for maybe a few weeks or a couple months even. I don't think very long, but I was like,
You better
this is
quit your
not for
day
me.
job.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
was like, I can bring you to your seat and then I'm out. Because I think
That's
it
it.
was just I knew I was like, I'm so not
This
invested
isn't it.
in this. And if you
Hmm.
don't care about something and you're not in it for the long haul, then it's like,
Yeah, done.
who cares?
Okay, so
So
you're in LA. How long? Because I know you're married and have a child now. How long did you act or pursue acting before she arrived?
Um, well, I really lucked out and met Preston, my husband, like 2 months after I'd moved
No
here.
way.
Yeah,
Okay, and side note, I listened to your episode of, I think you called it like moms versus dads.
oh
You
yeah.
guys are the cutest. I like keep begging my husband,
Oh
like, come on my podcast. Like, and
my
I'm
God.
like, I think I need you to listen to that one because they're really cute. Like, can we sound like them?
Oh, well, thank you. We also have a podcast together called
Oh, I
What's
didn't
Your
know that. I've
Movie?
only heard of Mommywood, which is your
It,
podcast together.
it's called What's Your Movie? And it's just we did this actually when we first started dating. We would put each of us would pick like 10 movies that I really like that he hasn't seen or that he likes that I haven't seen. And then we
Okay.
were just because if you're like, what
What
movie
do
do
you
you
want to
want to watch?
watch? Yeah.
So we just pick it out of a hat. And so now we pick it out of a hat, but if I haven't seen it, I have to guess what it's about.
Oh, how cute.
So embarrassing because I'm
So
always
fun.
so far off. And he majored in film, so he like knows
Where did
every
he go to school? Where did he go to college?
he went to your UC Irvine. Oh my
Oh,
God,
okay.
that better be right, or I'm gonna be.
That's right in my neck of the woods. I'm right in down in Orange
Yeah.
County. But my
Oh, he.
husband majored in film also. So he like when we see a movie, I'm like, oh, that was good. And he's like, well, the way that this character developed is, and I'm like, this is
Yeah.
totally different than how I saw the movie.
Just enjoy it.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's from Orange County. So
Oh.
when I moved out here, um, a friend that I had trained with for that children's theater years before, um, she reached out and was like, "Hey, do you want to be in this web series that I'm writing?" And I was like, "Great, yeah." And then he went to school with her
Sweet.
and he was doing the cinematography for it. So we met on set and then the rest is
The rest is
history.
history. And now you
And
have a
then
daughter.
yes, and then May was born. My daughter's name is Marion after my grandma. We call her May, and she was born June 16th, 2022. So she's
Mm,
still pretty new. She's
yeah. So she's
yeah, a
just
year and a half.
over a year, right?
Yeah, she's a year and a
Okay.
half now.
Oh, you're in the thick of it. That I always felt like when they started moving until about, well, my youngest is 4 and he's still hard. Yeah. So once they start moving, it's hard. But like
Yeah.
you go to the
I
park
wish
and you're on death watch because they like will just jump off
she
of
has no
everything.
fear.
Hmm.
Mhm. No
Yeah.
fear. She starts like climbing on our couches now. This chair that I'm on,
Oh,
she keeps
yes.
standing on and being like, yeah. And I'm like, oh
Yes.
my
This is the age of like bonking their heads and
yes.
having bruised shins. And yeah,
Mhm.
that's hard.
Can you not? Like it's so hard. And I do wish that when she was younger, I would have, I mean, I guess not because she never got sick until recently, but I kind of wish we would have like taken her more
Mhm.
places. So easy, just have her in
Yes.
the car seat,
Yes. I
put
wish
it
we
in
would
the
have eaten out
stroller.
more because they're impossible at that age. Yeah.
Yeah, so now she's
Does
like,
get easier. It does. Like my youngest can buckle his own seatbelt now. Like
oh, yeah.
that's
Yeah.
amazing. Yeah. It gets easier, but yeah, you're in the thick of it.
Yeah.
Okay. So how was it like being in the industry and being pregnant? Like, did you have to pass up roles? Did you?
I didn't. I actually that was one of the reasons I started Mommywood because I just always wanted to be a mom and I was like, I guess I'll be a mom eventually, but the fear of being an actor and being a mom was so like wait, am I gonna have to take off like 2
Mhm.
years, or am I gonna have to turn this down? Like, what am I gonna do? Like, how am I gonna work? How am I gonna all of these
Yeah.
questions, which is why I started Mommywood. But actually, while I was pregnant and I told my reps and they were all very supportive. I mean, how can you not be? Um,
Well, California law, like they have to be.
right. Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
But yes, they
Yeah.
were without that being supportive.
Yes. And so I really just kept auditioning for everything. There wasn't really anything I was going for that being pregnant would have like made a difference. Like I'm
Okay.
not going out for like stunt stuff. So like that would have
Riding
been
motorcycles, yes,
fine.
check.
Yeah. And early on I didn't really have to say anything. Um but I started showing, surprisingly, most people say they don't show their first pregnancy until like 6 months. And I was like, 12 weeks, I'm out of here. Like you can tell. Like,
Surprise.
yeah. So I had to like make it known pretty early on. But I actually ended up getting my husband and I booked our first network co-stars together on
So
Young
fun.
Sheldon
Okay. Yeah.
because I was pregnant, which it was
Oh,
like in the doctor's office, and it was the two of us together, uh and it was so
that's so
fun, especially to
fun.
be like really pregnant and everyone on set kind of realized like, oh, you're really pregnant. Oh, you two are
Oh,
really
that's
really
so
married.
cute. Yes, I think I would
So it
love
was
to like keep that scene and show my daughter later, like, oh, look at you
yeah,
were in this.
I
So
know, and it was
fun.
so great, and it was so funny because like anytime they would yell action, she would start like kicking around, and I was like,
Uh, well,
this
okay,
is
that's one of my questions I was going to save to the end. Would you let May get into acting?
we're actually going through this right now with our reps because, of course, right now there's like a new site for actors to put their stuff and submit themselves. And I'm like, ugh, does there have to be another one?
Uh,
So we're
yeah.
setting up. So we're setting up our profiles, and we do get auditions for her. And we've decided, we told our reps, we're like, well, I don't want anything really just for her right now because she's not really making that choice.
Choice.
But I'm like, I'm fine if we do something together as a family, as long as it's union. Like, I don't want to put
Mm,
her on a non-union set just for, safety and all that. And but I think for the time being, I mean, I understand both sides because we've done like her little pictures and stuff like that, but you know, rejection's hard. She hasn't booked it. But so, I mean, it it would be nice if like, yeah, if she could book things and save money for her and have
mhm.
that's great. But I don't want to pursue it for her.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
hard enough for us to
I
pursue
see
it for
I see your,
ourselves.
like, mom gut, your mom instincts kinda coming in. Like,
Yeah.
if it does change, it changes, but I could see
Yeah.
it
And
saying,
then,
"Hmm, this doesn't feel right now."
yeah. And then if she's older and like really starts asking for it, I mean, then we could talk to our reps about it. But I don't, I mean, until like she is really
Pushing
gung
it.
ho, but I would never say like, don't do it. Because
Right.
that's also one of the reasons we've talked about, of course, it could be easier because my husband's also an actor. Of course, it would be probably easier if one of us had a 9 to 5 or
9 to
whatever.
5 benefits, like
Yeah.
yeah.
But we like, I think it's so important to show her like, this is what we want to do. It's hard, but we want to show her
Mhm.
perseverance, like go after what you want
Yeah.
unless it was going to become an actual issue of like, you know, we can't pay our bills or something like
Yeah.
that, and we both still have other jobs, for sure. But yeah, I think it's important to show her that perseverance. And as long as you can, keep your head above water and,
Hmm.
maintain whatever lifestyle or whatever home style, like whatever, however you want to live, then go for it. Do,
Yeah. And I love that it's like follow your passion. Because I
yeah.
feel like so many people get stuck in their like 9 to 5 job. I've been doing this, like I was a teacher for 17 years and I decided this is not bringing me joy. And it was super hard to leave that. But yeah, like I just needed to like, also, I don't want my kids to just be like, well, I'll just get this job and this is what I'll do
Right.
till I retire, unless they love that, you know?
Yeah.
Okay, question about auditions. So, how soon after you audition for something do you start a job? So, like, let's say you're pregnant and you
Mhm.
audition. Could it be like 5 months out when you're like, I'm 9 months pregnant now? Or is it pretty
Oh,
quick
yeah.
after?
Well, it's different. Usually commercials will be a real quick turnaround. They'll be like,
Okay.
okay, we're shooting next week or something. Um, for film, it's all, or I mean, sorry, for television, it's also usually pretty quick. They'll be like within the week or
Okay.
so. For film, it can be yeah, it probably wouldn't be like 5 months, but you never know because
Just
funding
after.
or
Yeah.
or other people's
Mhm.
schedule. So with films, it could definitely be different. Um, but for television and commercial, it's usually pretty
Pretty quick.
quick. So
Interesting. Hmm.
yeah.
Yeah, that
Yeah,
helps.
but it's been nice to hear that so many women were working and acting while they were pregnant.
Yeah.
And because it's like, yeah, as long as you're not in any physical danger, it's like any of these characters could be pregnant.
Yeah.
We're
Yeah.
all women, like it doesn't really matter. We're all
Yeah.
just
Well,
so
how was it like having the baby and then did you ever feel pressure to lose the weight to like fit a certain role? Or, I mean, personally, if I knew a camera was going to be on me right after I gave birth, I'm like, like, no, no,
yeah.
no, no, thank you. Did you feel like I've got to lose the weight? Like you don't look the same for,
Oh,
I
yeah.
mean, years
You
after things change.
Yeah, yeah. Honestly, I think my mentality of weight shifted so much, maybe even before I was pregnant, but I think especially realizing I was having a girl and growing up in this industry and like as a woman in life in general, like everything is always like, bouncing back or looking good.
Mhm.
Diet culture is
Yeah. Or
insane.
like women in their 60s that look better than they did in their 20s. And you're like, oh my God.
You're like, okay,
How
do
do
I
I
focus on
compare
sex?
with that? I was like, oh, this here, it's just there. It's never gone. These
I
wrinkled
know.
here. I didn't get much sleep last night. That's why that's here.
Yeah, I think like I spent so much of sadly like so much of my life like in the gym and
Mhm.
dieting and growing up with that, and like I was never going out for like the hot bikini girl or like the superhero. So I really didn't need to be like in the best shape. That was all in my head.
Mhm.
And I think I think it was, who was it? I want to say Amy Adams. Maybe it was somebody else. So, but they said something about uh like once they realize that like that's not what they are anyway, it took off so much pressure. And I was like, "Oh yeah. Like what am I doing this for? And I'm wasting so much time." And also I'm, at the gym every day for an hour,
Mhm.
2 hour. And I'm like, and I still don't look like a superhero. So really, what's the
What is it? And now that I have kids, like an hour at the gym, that's unheard of. Like
yeah,
no,
like
it's a 20 minutes in the garage trying to squeeze in an exercise while they're coming in and interrupting me. That's
exactly.
that's the reality.
Exactly. Exactly. And also like knowing that I was having a girl, and I don't want to say that it's different for boys and girls, but I mean, I guess it kind of is. But I just knew that I didn't want her to see me in any way be like, I need to change my body. I think it's
Right.
more important, and I'm so glad that I'm like figuring this out for myself now,
Yes.
opposed to like when I'm 60. Because I'm
Hmm.
like, oh, who cares? Like, yes, we want to feel good. We want to be healthy. We want to be able to play with our kids. And like the vanity side of me, of course, is still like, damn, I wish people would be like, you've had a baby? No
Woo!
way. But I'm like, no, I have had a baby. I look like I've had a baby and it's fine. And
Okay.
like, but yes, there is still that side of me that's like, oh, I wish I looked a little bit better. I wish my pants fit a little bit better. But, you know, as long as I'm healthy and feeling good, and that's really all that matters. And it
Yeah.
definitely hasn't, e- especially now, I'm just coming into like, not only, but pretty much only get like mom roles.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you. What is like did you ever play a mom before becoming a mom as a
There,
role?
I actually played, I played a mom in a couple commercials,
Okay.
which I was, it must have been like before I was 30 and the kid was like 9. And I was like, this is sad.
I was gonna say because you look young, so I'm like, I wonder if she's ever played a mom. Oh, how fun!
Yeah, yeah. So
Have
I've
you
played
played one since
commercials.
having May?
Um, I don't, I've auditioned a lot, but I
Okay.
haven't, no, I mean, especially with the strike and everything, it's been
Yeah.
so good.
Right. I feel like before becoming a mom and then being a mom, I think I would act it out a little bit differently and be like, oh, no, 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 no. She doesn't have this much makeup on. No, like this is
Oh,
not accurate.
for sure. Yeah. I think that now when I watch things and I'm like, the televised version of
Yes.
Swan for
She looked
sure.
very rested. Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, I also played, I was pregnant for a role too. I think it was another commercial possibly, but I have a picture. It was so long ago. I think it was actually right when my sister was having her first son. So that must have been like 9 years ago. And uh at some point I found the picture of me being like fake pregnant and then one me being pregnant and I was like, yeah, one is real and one is
Oh,
but yeah,
fun.
it was interesting where I'm like, oh, if I only knew it doesn't just affect your belly.
Oh,
It's
no, no. Your face, my feet grew a half size with each pregnancy
oh
and did
boy.
not go back. So,
Yeah, that was weird to me. Mine didn't grow until like the very end. And then I like some of my shoes fit again and some of them don't. So I'm like,
yeah.
I
And I
don't
would
know.
have thought like, okay, I'm not pregnant anymore. Don't they like
Go
go
back.
back? Like,
Yeah.
no, but I a half a size, no, a size and a half bigger than I was before having kids.
Wow. Yeah,
So
it's
yeah,
so weird.
size like 10 and a half shoes, not so cute anymore. Mm. But then, like,
Yeah.
of course, like with your body, my boys go, "Mom, why is your butt so big?" I'm like, "Well, because I had to have you inside my body." So yes, that is why mom's butt's so big. Mm.
Oh my God.
So how has like the career changed since having kids? Because you were saying, I audition and I could have like a job next week, but like for me, when I was teaching, it was like childcare was every day. Like this time with this, it's
Yeah.
like, do you have a nanny on call? Like, what do you do? Like that's
Oh,
to me, that
girl.
sounds stressful.
Oh man. I
You bring her with you?
being
Like that's
from
ideal.
being from being a nanny and knowing how much they charge, no ma'am, I did not have a nanny. But
I will watch other people's kids.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I do have a couple friends that I'll ask if I need someone and I will offer to
Oh my
pay
gosh,
them.
do I hear her in the background? Is that her in the
You
background?
do,
Sweet
yeah.
girl.
He's here. I think he's gonna
Oh,
get her in a second,
go. I
but
totally understand. I get it.
but that's part of the the pro of having us both like in this industry and both like we're both home right now, and
Yes.
so if she's crying, he can he can get her.
Like, no,
Or
she
like
wants mom.
yeah,
Have you
or
ever had her do that? Like, are your auditions live or do you record them? Or
they're
you go in?
usually self-tape.
Okay. Okay.
Unfortunately, Preston has had both of the instances um of having to bring her to an audition once and having her for a live Zoom
Oh
audition
my
or Zoom
goodness.
callback. Um, but people are pretty
And
understanding
I feel like
majority.
it feels worse for us. Like, I think, oh my God, I can't have my children like pop in. I mean, it's like, this is
Yeah,
life. That's normal. Like, I'm a parent. This
yeah.
is going to happen.
Yeah, and one of the things that you realize also is that like when other people's kids cry, it's not that annoying.
No.
Or not
No.
annoying,
I
but
was thinking, oh, how sweet. She's crying in the background. And you're probably like, oh my God,
like,
like, please get her, take her outside.
I know. Where it's just like you when it's your own, you get that like that
Yeah.
gut feeling where
Inside, your just body is like,
yeah, you're
yes,
like, I have to do something. I
yeah,
have to do I have
must
to
make
fix
it
it.
stop.
Yeah. So if she cries when we're like on a Zoom or something, it's like I know it's worse for me than it is for anybody else,
Yes.
but I try to just like
It's fine. It's
let it go.
fine.
But yeah, but Preston's had to bring her in person because he had like a very last minute audition. So I was already I was already out teaching and he had to bring her and it did not go very well.
He didn't get that role?
Well, it wasn't even because it was like a situation where it was like just loud and she was little and so she got like was
Mm,
probably scared or something. And then but then he had a live Zoom callback for something and she was it was like a war thing, so it was kind of okay that she was screaming and crying, but they could but I think at the end he was like, "Sorry about that," and they were like, "Oh, we couldn't hear her," and he was
oh,
like,
wow.
"Oh,
Nice.
okay."
You
She's
couldn't?
literally screaming.
Oh
So,
my gosh, how
you
fun.
know.
What would be your, like, dream role? If you can envision, like, you on the what would it
Oh,
be? Television, movie,
yeah.
like
I would love to do I mean, sitcoms are so like far few and far between now, but I would love to be like a sitcom mom. Like, I
mm,
mean, it just sounds so fun, and the
so
schedule
fun.
just the schedule of it too would be
What's so a
so
TV schedule, what is that like?
for a sitcom, it's usually like they like do the reads at the beginning of the week and then they only film like one day,
Oh,
like on like Thursday or Friday.
okay.
So they'll have so I'll do the read and then rehearsals and then film it, but it's usually more of like more of kind of a 9 to 5, not
Okay.
even.
Yeah.
Um,
Like a more predictable schedule too?
yeah, so from what I've heard, or like most, you can like be back in time for like bedtime. So because I think for television, it's a lot more like time efficient.
Okay. Okay.
So so that would be nice,
Okay.
especially if it could be a Warner Brothers. I'm right here.
Hey, say it. Okay, we're gonna
Walk
be looking
over.
for your face on TV on a sitcom as a mom. Love that.
Yeah, yeah.
So what is it like? So you're in LA. What is it like raising a daughter there? Because we were actually in LA 5 years. So my son was almost 2 when we moved to Orange County. My husband got a different job. So we were up in Mid City. I don't know if you know that area.
Yeah.
We were there. He was born at Cedar Sinai.
Oh,
And every time we go back, I'm like, whoa, it seems way harder
wow.
to have kids up here than it is in Orange County now. What is that like?
Yeah. Um, why do you think that is?
We had a cement little patch for our backyard.
More space.
I
Yeah.
remember just taking him to Target, like, "I'm gonna get out of the house. I'm gonna go to Target." It's literally from our house to the Target was maybe a mile, but it took us 45 minutes. Then you,
Oh,
like, park in the parking structure. When we moved to Orange County, I was like, "Oh my gosh, like, you can park in a parking lot and just walk into the store." It doesn't take just everything felt hard to get to. And then
yeah.
having, like, a kid screaming in the car, I was like, "Oh my
Oh
god, this is
gosh.
so
Yeah.
hard." Or schools, like school. I remember being
Nervous.
pregnant and people talking about elementary school. Like
I know.
they were also pregnant, not like for my older kids, but like, "Hey, we're thinking about doing this charter." And I was like, "He's not even born. He's not born yet."
I know. I'm nervous already. I'm like, I feel like I should already have them like picked out and like
Ugh.
have visited and already applied because I hear that too, where it's like you gotta do it like 10 years in advance. And I'm like,
Yeah.
oh God.
Before
Um,
you conceive, you need to
I know.
get on the wait list.
I know, that's what I hear. Um, I think maybe it's different because we're in the valley, so it
Okay.
does seem a bit, it's definitely
More
there is
space.
more space. We're like Studio City, Toluca Lake area.
Uh-huh.
So there's definitely like we love our neighborhood, like just walking around. I've met like some of my best friends just like walking around our
Oh,
neighborhood, um, which is great. And there's parks nearby, and being in this area is really good because nothing is like too far. It's
got
kind
it.
of like 20-ish, 20, 30 minutes to anywhere
You have
that would be
access to
like
everything. Yeah.
far. Um, I forget what your
Is it much
original
different? Is
question
it much
was.
different than where you grew up?
Honestly, not really. I mean, obviously, I'm in an apartment, so I grew up in a home, which now looking at, I would be like, how did you afford this house? It's
Right.
ginormous. Um,
Right.
but
Well, when
Midwest
you get
is
that sitcom gig, you're gonna get yourself
yes,
a
yes,
beautiful
let's
house.
manifest.
Yes. Yes.
Um, yeah, and I mean, we definitely have enough space to be fine. Of course, like I want a home, I want a
Yeah.
yard. But um but yeah, I think besides that it doesn't feel too different from growing up. I do worry about like schooling and because it's like, okay, well, I know, especially from like nannying and teaching, I know of a lot of schools around,
Mhm.
um, public and private. So I'm like, okay, knowing about the prices of the
Yeah.
private schools, I'm
Yeah.
like, they're college tuition. Like
Uh-huh.
they're more than college. Like it's
Yeah.
insane. Um, but then of course, like just being in America and schools is just everything is scary, I feel like, as a mom, and just like looking forward to things that kind of you have to let go of control, which I don't know about you, but I
Oh,
have.
it's so hard. And when it's your own kid, you start realizing, but I want the very best for him.
Yes,
Because like in
exactly.
our area, we're able to do open enrollment in our district. So you can like it's like a lottery system to get into other
Oh,
schools. So for us, it was like, well, our local school's not that great, or we've
mhm.
heard things about it. So it was just like, okay, we're just gonna like hope for the best. And it all worked out. It's
Yeah,
great. But it got to the point where everyone's like, "Why don't we all send our kids to the neighborhood school? Because no one on our street goes there, no one in
yeah.
our neighborhood." But it's
Mhm.
like, "But I don't want to be the first one to do it and not have you guys
Right.
follow," or
Yeah,
but it was like, "But it's my kid now." Like I could say that 5 years ago, but when it's my kid, I'm like, but I want the best
yeah.
for him." Yeah.
I know there's a school near that's like walking distance to us right now, and one of my good friends whose kids are older, she was like, "Oh, I actually moved from this zip code to this zip code so I could go to this different school, not the
Oh,
one." walking distance.
Oh,
And I was like, "Oh, I'm in the walking distance." And she was like, "No, it's a fine school." And I'm like,
but you
"But
moved.
I moved."
That's the same with us. Like we could walk to our neighborhood school, but
Yeah.
instead we drive 15 minutes every morning. But
Yeah.
it was just like one person said something about the school, and then I was like, oh, and she was a teacher, and I was like, oh, I don't know. So
Yeah, exactly. My friend said this one thing about like, "Well, we moved to go to this other school." And I was like, "Mm." She's
yeah,
like,
I
"It's
won't
okay
forget
for
that.
you."
Yeah. But like here, now we look back at kindergarten, we were like, oh, everything worked out. It's going to be great. Well, now my 9, almost 10-year-old has 2 years left, and then it's middle school. And we're like, oh, shoot, we have to do this again. We got to figure out where he's going to go to middle school.
Ugh, yeah.
Enjoy those baby years. Enjoy them. Oh,
Yeah, because I went to a school like I forget that it's like, oh, and then there's middle school and then this because I went from like first to eighth grade
yeah,
and then
me
high
too.
school. So I was
Yeah.
like, can't you all just go to the same school the whole
Can we just
time?
keep
Oh.
them all at elementary? Like sending them like,
But then
yeah.
there are those schools that go from like K to
Yeah.
12, and you're
Yes.
like, well, then aren't you kind of in a bubble? And it's like $1 million a year. So
Pretty
it's like,
much.
okay,
Oh, it's so hard.
we're
Well,
all just doing the best we can.
we are. We are. Well, okay. This was fascinating because I don't know much about the industry. So it was exciting to hear about auditions and so much fun
Yeah.
stuff. Will you tell us how you started? Well, you kind of told us about the Mommywood podcast. Can you tell us where we can find that, where we can find you and connect to you?
I am all over the place. I think you can listen to Mommywood anywhere you get your podcasts, Apple, Spotify. I don't know where else people listen to them, but it's
I know
on.
those are the 2 that I know, like, when I, like, send it off to the directories, I'm like, "Sure, I'll send them to all these," but I'm like, Apple and Spotify, those are the only 2
Those
I
are the ones I know.
operate.
Yeah. And then on Instagram and TikTok, just at Mommywood Podcast.
Awesome. Oh, well, thank you so much for coming on. This was so fun.
Of course, thank you. And I love your background. I want this
Oh,
on the
thank you. It's actually, my son's, so this was like the nursery. When he moved out, I was like, this is becoming my girly room because I have 3 boys. I'm like,
You
I need
do.
some space that's like girly. So this is like the gross closet. It was like beige walls. And I'm like, I'm just gonna put a bunch of pictures behind me that are like,
It looks awesome. I
thank
love it.
you. Yeah, it's
And
my
3
favorite, like,
boys.
mm, my little girly zone. So,
Yeah. Yeah,
well,
you're in the thick of it. 3 boys. Oh boy.
I know. Pray for me. Pray for me.
They're
Well, thank you
so
so.
cute though. Was
They are. Oh my
looking
god,
on
and
your
when they're
Instagram. They're
sleeping, I'm like, "They're
when
angels.
they're
They're
sleeping.
adorable." Like, the other night, I went and took pictures of them, and I'm like, "How can they be like, how can I be so frustrated with them?" And then at night, I'm like, "Oh, I just love you so much. Like, you're
I
so
know.
cute." Yeah.
As soon as they go to sleep and then you watch them on videos and you're
Yeah.
like,
Yes.
"But please, for the love of God, do not wake up
D
anytime
No,
soon."
don't, but just let me look at all these pictures I took of you today. Yeah.
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 It's crazy.
It's fun. It's fun. Well, thank you for coming on. This was so fun.
Of course. Thank you for having me.